Welcome to FPS Xpert, where we dive deep into the world of gaming. No fluff, just the facts. Whether it's the latest FPS meta, industry scandals, or hidden gaming gems, we've got you covered. Today, we're tackling the biggest controversies that rocked the gaming world. From broken promises to shocking scandals, these moments didn't just make headlines, they changed the industry forever. So, grab your snacks, sit back, and let's get into it. Warning: this video may cause nostalgia, rage, or both. Let's kick things off with the controversy that turned the gaming world upside down: microtransactions and loot boxes. And no game embodies this scandal better than Star Wars Battlefront II. When the game launched in 2017, players were excited to live out their Star Wars fantasies. But that excitement quickly turned to outrage when they realized that iconic characters like Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker were locked behind a paywall. To unlock them, you'd either have to grind for 40 hours, yes, 40 hours, or shell out real cash for loot boxes. And if you think that's bad, the loot boxes were completely random, meaning you could spend hundreds of dollars and still not get what you wanted. The backlash was immediate. Fans flooded social media, Reddit, and even EA's own forums with complaints. The situation got so bad that EA's response, claiming that the grind was meant to give players a sense of pride and accomplishment, became one of the most downvoted comments in Reddit history. But the controversy didn't stop there. Governments around the world started investigating whether loot boxes were a form of gambling. Belgium and the Netherlands even banned them outright. In the end, EA removed microtransactions from the game, temporarily, but the damage was done. Star Wars Battlefront II became the poster child for everything wrong with microtransactions, and it sparked a global conversation about ethics in gaming. So, was it a victory for gamers? Or just a temporary fix? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Next up, we're diving into the dark side of game development: crunch culture. Games like Cyberpunk 2077 and Red Dead Redemption 2 were highly anticipated, but behind the scenes, developers were pushed to their limits. Reports of 100-hour work weeks and burnout became all too common. For Cyberpunk 2077, the pressure to meet the 2020 release date was immense. Despite years of development, the game was riddled with bugs and performance issues at launch, especially on consoles. What many players didn't know was that the developers at CD Projekt Red were working grueling hours, often sacrificing their personal lives and health to meet deadlines. Similarly, Red Dead Redemption 2 was a masterpiece, but it came at a cost. Rockstar Games faced criticism for its demanding work culture, with employees reporting 80 to 100-hour work weeks. One developer even tweeted, "I've been working 100-hour weeks," sparking outrage across the industry. The controversy sparked a global debate about worker rights and the ethics of game development. While some companies have started to address the issue, like CD Projekt Red promising to avoid crunch in future projects, crunch culture remains a hot topic in the industry. Is it worth sacrificing the well-being of developers to deliver the next big game? Or should the industry prioritize sustainable work practices? Let us know what you think in the comments. Now, let's talk about review bombing. When The Last of Us Part 2 launched in 2020, it quickly became one of the most divisive games in history. Fans were split over its story and character decisions, leading to a wave of negative reviews, many from players who hadn't even played the game. The controversy began when spoilers leaked online, revealing major plot points. Some fans were outraged by the direction of the story, particularly the fate of a beloved character. This led to a coordinated effort to tank the game's user ratings on platforms like Metacritic. At one point, the game's user score dropped to 3.4 out of 10, despite critical acclaim and a Metacritic critic score of 93. The backlash highlighted the toxicity in gaming communities and raised questions about the validity of user reviews. In response, platforms like Metacritic introduced changes to prevent review bombing, such as delaying user reviews for new releases. But the controversy also sparked a broader conversation about how fans react to creative risks in storytelling. Was it a fair response, or did it go too far? Let us know your take. Next, we have the controversy that taught gamers to take pre-release hype with a grain of salt: false advertising. When No Man's Sky launched in 2016, it was one of the most anticipated games of the year. The developers, Hello Games, promised a vast, procedurally generated universe with endless possibilities, planets to explore, creatures to discover, and multiplayer experiences to share. But when players got their hands on it, many of those promised features were missing. Multiplayer was nowhere to be found, and the game felt repetitive and empty compared to the trailers. Fans accused the developers of lying, and the backlash was swift and brutal. The controversy became so intense that Hello Games went silent for months. But here's the twist. Over the years, the developers worked tirelessly to update the game, adding features like base building, multiplayer, and even VR support. Today, No Man's Sky is considered a success story, but it remains a cautionary tale about overhyping a product. Was No Man's Sky a case of false advertising, or just a game that needed more time to cook? Let us know in the comments. Now, let's talk about one of the most serious controversies in gaming history: sexual harassment and workplace scandals. In 2021, Activision Blizzard, the company behind Call of Duty and World of Warcraft, was hit with a lawsuit alleging widespread harassment, discrimination, and a toxic workplace culture. The lawsuit described a frat boy environment where female employees faced constant harassment, unequal pay, and retaliation for speaking out. One of the most shocking allegations involved a female employee who died by suicide during a business trip. Her death was linked to the toxic culture she endured at the company. Employees spoke out about their experiences, leading to walkouts, protests, and calls for industry-wide change. The scandal forced the gaming world to confront its darker side and sparked a much-needed conversation about workplace ethics. While Activision Blizzard has made some changes, including leadership shakeups and diversity initiatives, the controversy is far from over. It's a reminder that the gaming industry still has a long way to go in creating safe and inclusive workplaces. What do you think needs to change? Let us know in the comments. Next up, we have The Day Before scam. This was one of the most hyped games in recent years, promising a massive open-world survival MMO with realistic visuals and intense gameplay. Marketed as a mix between The Last of Us and The Division, it climbed to the top of Steam's most wishlist games, with millions of players eagerly waiting for its release. But as time went on, cracks started to show. Fantastic, the developers, kept delaying the game, giving vague excuses. First, they claimed a trademark dispute caused the delay. Then they said they needed more time for polishing. But what really set off alarms was the fact that they never showed raw, unedited gameplay. Every trailer looked scripted, and when they finally released a gameplay showcase, it was mostly a slow walk through empty streets with minimal action. Despite all this, the game finally launched in early access in December 2024, and it was an absolute disaster. Instead of the next-gen survival MMO they had promised, players got an empty, lifeless, buggy mess. The world felt unfinished, features were missing, and many realized it was nothing more than an asset flip with generic zombie AI and barely any content. Within days, Steam was flooded with overwhelmingly negative reviews, calling it an outright scam. The backlash was so intense that Fantastic shut down completely just a few days after launch. They pulled the game from Steam, deleted their website, and announced they were closing their studio, leaving players who had paid for the game with nothing. No refunds, no fixes, just complete radio silence. Looking back, The Day Before wasn't just a failed game. It was one of the biggest gaming scams of 2024, proving once again that flashy trailers and promises mean nothing if the developers can't deliver. From microtransactions to workplace scandals, these controversies show that gaming isn't just about fun, it's a complex industry with real-world issues. Which of these scandals shocked you the most? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon for more gaming content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.